For my second selection, Charlie is now in China. At the suggestion of his translator Lu Chi, Charlie has been a guest for a week of Lu Chi's friend, a very wealthy factory owner named Yuan Quinjan, who lives in the province of Hunan. In his plentiful spare time, Charles managed through email to firm up his plans for India, his next stop. As his days in Hunan drew to a close, however anxious he might have been to get back to Beijing and to his project, Lu Chi had emailed him that the translation was now complete. He found himself a little reluctant to leave. When that moment arrived, however, it was on a day when Yuan Quinjan had an important sales meeting in Macau. Thus, with many apologies for being an ungracious host, he designated another pilot to fly Charles back to the capital, a big beefy fellow named Shui Zhao, whose droopy eyelids made him look rather sleep-deprived. That made Charles nervous, but since he trusted his host, he did not object. Quinjan assured him that Shui was experienced and quite responsible. On a crisp winter morning in late December, therefore, Charles became airborne in the same Gulf Stream that had flown him to Hunan. After exhausting such topics of conversation as were available to him given Shui Zhao's limited command of English, Charles quit the cockpit for the lounge, eager to compose email to Lu Chi about his impending arrival. Then he stretched out on the lounge's comfortable cushions and went to sleep. 45 minutes later he woke and stretched. There was a bathroom in the rear of the plane, which he used before making his way forward to the cockpit to check on their progress. Through the windshield up ahead, he could see the plane was on a smooth, level course amid absolutely cloudless skies. But viewed from the back, there was something odd about Shui Zhao's posture. His spine was on a slant, head drooping to one side. Fuck, had he actually gone to sleep? Charles approached with a hearty shouted, "Hey Zhao, how's it going?" There was no reaction. And in fact, when Charles looked closely, the truth dawned. He reached for Zhao's neck and pulse. With growing alarm, he slapped Zhao across the face several times, an act born more from desperation than any need to confirm the truth. The truth was obvious. The man was utterly, irretrievably, undeniably dead. Now a secret must be imparted. Charles Baker knew how to fly. As a youth, he had piloted a small propeller plane in the company of his father. When the senior Charles had been appointed foreman of that huge corporation farm in California, management had figured it was both prudent and efficient to buy a small Cessna from which he could look over the company's acreage each morning and evening. Young Charles had not only learned to fly alongside his father, but fallen head over heels in love with it. How exhilarating to be up above everyone and everything, soaring like the red-tailed hawks that split the desert air over the ranch. Such excitement, such power. One hand on the wheel while the other clasped the small red-knobbed throttle, pushing the right rudder with your foot and easing the wheel around to achieve the nice smooth bank, shoving the throttle forward to collect speed, tugging it back to slow down carefully. Too much and you'll stall. Plummeting down to check on a ditch brake, swerving, pulling up and banking hard away from the problem. However, As indubitably true as the Chinese pilot's indubitable demise was the noteworthy fact that when Charles had acted as pilot in that tiny, tiny, single-propeller plane, in that aluminum-bodied, fabric-winged aircraft whose fuselage, tail, struts, engine, and all weighed less than 1,000 pounds, in an era some 40-some years before, when there were no computers, no autopilot, no GPS, no iPhones, in fact, before even the fucking transistor had been invented, he had done so only while airborne. Adept enough at banking and climbing, he had never landed a plane. And now, as Charles studied in mute incomprehension the three-ring circus of accumulating data on the electronic display panel, he shuddered. "Charles, let's not kid ourselves," he said. "You are going to fucking die." Thank you.